Hi, this is Dr. Frank Chopatini with the Church of Rational Truth. Uh, First off, we're going to talk about old business. We have two things again that are voting options for the disbursement: going to be reinvestment in the endowment, or putting the funds towards a sub endowment to go towards a physical church and library. We will have voting on that this week, due by Saturday or Friday at midnight. Then we'll tally them and we'll talk about the results on next Sunday's lecture. This lecture's topic, it's going to be pretty brief. It's going to be about delayed gratification. Delayed gratification, I think we've talked about during other talks. And basically what it is the ability to prevent yourself from pursuing immediate pleasure for further pleasure and happiness in the future. And I think it's really important for people, if they want to get happiness, if they want to be able to get big future goals together, they're able to actually function well, is to be able to do delayed gratification or to be able to handle it. The hard thing is our brain really doesn't want to. Our brain looks for what is right now good. What can I get immediately? And our decisions are usually based on the moment. They're based on, hey, how do I feel better in the moment? I'm not planning for tomorrow. I'm not planning for next week. I'm planning for immediately right now. And evolutionarily, that is short term very beneficial. If you live a very short life, if you don't live very long, you want to do immediately what helps you. You want to eat right now so you have food. You want to, do whatever makes you feel safe and good in the moment, because you don't know if you have the next day. That's not a given. You have a lot of unknown. You don't necessarily have control. But as we grow as a society, as we live longer and longer, as we're living 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, we need to be making plans for those times. We have to do the opposite of carpe diem. We don't have to seize the day. We have to plan for the next day. And sometimes we have to unseize the day. We have to hold off on things because we know there's going to be a future. And sometimes giving up right now for the future will end up making us a lot happier, making us better over time. But that is difficult for us. A lot of people have difficulty conceptualizing it. A lot of people have difficulties controlling their emotions or impulses because our emotions are really based a lot on what is good right now. So a lot of times people have to actively work to be able to prevent themselves from making those decisions. A lot of times you see people end up destroying themselves. As a doctor, I see all the time people dying of diabetes and obesity because it is so difficult to hold back on immediate gratification. They can't say no to the cookies and sugar, and they can't be able to stop themselves from eating. And so they gain weight. They end up sacrificing their long term health because of that immediate benefit. And our bodies are really fighting against us with that. Um, it takes a lot of discipline to do this, it takes a lot of rationality. And for us as a church, we emphasize being rational above all else. We want you to be able to make informed decisions, not decisions based on emotions or feelings. You need to be able to ration out the decisions, the options, weigh the risks and benefits. And last week we talked about risk benefit analysis. And this is kind of being able to use risk benefit analysis to then decide when are we going to hold back on feeling good right now so that we can get some long-term benefit. This is usually health, this is usually financial, but this can be with anything. It can be with relationships, it can be with business. A lot of times you have to decide, do I want to do the thing that is going to give me a benefit right now, or am I going to sacrifice and then use that sacrifice to hopefully get more benefit in the future? That is application of risk benefit analysis. It's not always, I'm not saying that you should always sacrifice right now for the future. You have to use that analysis to be able to say, is this worth it to do it right now? Or am I going to get much more of a benefit? So, like, let's say if we're going to go with interest rates, if I'm going to give you an interest rate of 10%, saving your money is going to be probably more beneficial than most investments that are immediate returns on investment. Immediate returns are usually a much smaller percentage than that. So that's usually a good long-term investment. If I instead, though, give you half of a percentage of a return, so every dollar you're putting in, you're getting half a penny a year, that's barely anything. The delayed gratification is going to be incredibly small versus just being able to use that dollar right now is going to be much more of a benefit. So with delayed gratification, it's not enough to just say, "Oh, I always have to withhold pleasure from myself. I always have to do things that are not pleasurable." You see that a lot. It's a stereotype in the Catholic Church where if it feels good, don't do it. Kind of this application of don't do things that make you feel good right now because the other things will make you feel better. Well, sometimes there are times where delayed gratification isn't worth it, and you have to be able to go on a case by case basis. You need to be able to say, should I do this thing that makes me feel good now? Or should I hold that back and then hopefully later in the future, I will be better off long term? So I can go on for hours going in individual scenarios of this, but most of them do come down to a case by case basis. You have to be able to do your own analysis. You have to be able to weigh the pros and cons of certain decision making, and you have to be able to really remove the emotional aspect because the emotional aspect is usually what moves most people to make the right now decision, whether it is or is not the right thing to do. Um, so that's a brief overview. If anybody has questions on delayed gratification or needs examples or wants to know more or back and forth about it, please leave some comments or contact us. That's it for today's lecture. It's going to just be relatively short. We'll come back next week on Sunday. We'll do another lecture. We'll try to keep them brief. Once again, this is Dr. Frank. Thank you for tuning in and listening, and I'll see you all next week. Bye bye.